Hello, my name is Sibu Mpanza, and you're watching Tagged, You're It. Ooh. So Sibu Mpanza, I feel like, is the person that everybody else knows. It's like my persona online. I'm just a kid who wanted to be an entertainer and somehow found a way to make that a career. Yeah. So originally, I'm a long form person. That's the format that I enjoy the most. But I like short format because I feel like it's allowed more people to enjoy creating content. I feel like long format content can be quite daunting for a lot of people, but for me, it's the best way to tell stories. Of course, you can tell amazing stories on TikTok, on your Instagram Reels, making short format content, but there's nothing that does it quite like that film feeling of that 16:9 on YouTube. I love TikTok, I love Reels. I can sit on TikTok for hours when I'm supposed to go to bed. But man, YouTube has my heart. I've been creating since 2014, and there's just nothing like that landscape format. So it can be tough knowing that most people are moving onto watching short format. I've been creating 20-minute videos for 10 years, and now people like to watch TikToks for 6 seconds and then get out. So it can be quite daunting for the viewer and the creator. But I think when you have a relationship with your audience, it makes it 10 times easier. I think the one thing that YouTube will always have over other platforms is community. I think a lot of people watch TikToks, they watch Reels on Instagram, and yes, you'll get a lot of views, you'll get millions compared to YouTube, hundreds and thousands, but that community feeling, I don't think you can get it anywhere else. So Channel O Unfiltered is my latest show that guys, I enjoy it so much. You know why? Because it takes me back to my roots. When I started YouTube, I was talking a lot about social issues, race, class, gender, sex, into. And now I get to do it again, but on such an amazing, massive platform that I've been watching literally since I was a child, that we've all been watching since we were children. So Channel O Unfiltered is a youth show where we get to talk about any and every topic under the sun: money, sex, dating, zonke bonke. And I think the one thing that I appreciate the most is that it is actual youth on the show that I get to talk to. You know, a lot of the time we say youth, but is it really the youth? Look at our, I'm not gonna go there. But is it really the youth? We talk about it on Youth Unfiltered because we're unfiltered. Nyabasaba labaga tagged, so I'm not gonna go that far in. But it's an amazing show. You should definitely watch it. If you are part of the youth, if you're younger, if you're a little bit older, I think you'll really, really appreciate the opinions on that show. So you can catch Channel O Unfiltered every Friday at 1 o'clock. It's on YouTube and it's on Facebook. So even if you're a little bit older and you're on Facebook, you can watch it. If you want to My People on YouTube, you can watch it too. One of my favorite episodes of Channel O Unfiltered is one where we speak about relationships, and it just made me happy to feel like our generation is going in what I feel like is the right direction when it comes to relationships. And most of that just comes from the fact that we are more open to having conversations within the relationship. I think what tends to happen is 2 people, maybe 3 people fall in love and they get together, and that's usually where, the conversation ends. Will you be my girlfriend or my boyfriend or my partner? After that, we'll go with the flow, we'll see what happens. In relationships, you have to talk, but I feel like we're more open to talking about gender roles, about sex, about consent, about all those things. We don't just sort of leave it in the air. So it was really nice to talk to people and get that feeling that we're good, we're on the right path compared to some of the people that came before. So I think keeping things private can be quite difficult in this day and age of social media. You see everybody sharing everything and anything, but I think it's sort of trial and error. You do something, you get a feeling back, you get that feedback, then after that, I might have overshared there for a little bit, or okay, I can keep playing around with this, I kind of like where I am. What I've found that helps me a lot, and once again, this is something that's very YouTubey, is boundaries. It's very difficult to build boundaries on a 5-second TikTok or a reel, but when you have YouTube, you can build boundaries. I said, guys, don't say this thing in my comments. I don't like this. And you'll see over time, people will start noticing, they'll start saying different things, interacting with you slightly differently. So I think a big part of it is boundaries. I know a lot of people are scared of putting up boundaries. They're like, I'm gonna lose viewership. People aren't gonna like me. They're not gonna watch me. But I feel like that's sort of the middle ground. You have to give in order to get back. People like knowing a little bit about your private life. They like knowing how you're really feeling, not what you think you should say you're feeling. So there's definitely a give and take, but I think the biggest thing is boundaries. So I learned the hard way that, what are they called? Parasocial relationships can be quite hectic. Being in a relationship that was very publicly online and then having that breakup that was also relatively public, online. I think the one thing that I took away more than anything is that the people that I actually value didn't have anything negative to say about me, about my ex-partner, about whoever was in my life. I've had to learn whose opinions to value because people will talk. When you're on social media, I think I say that to everybody who's starting, even if you've been in the game for as long as me, value the right opinions. You can't just take in everybody's anything that they say. You will lose your mind. I think one of our biggest mistakes when it comes to, I hate to even say, teaching boys not to be the way that they are, but I think it comes from when you're much younger. I think the relationships that a boy has with their parents, with their guardians, with their friends, I feel like that makes a major, major difference. Because what I found when having conversations is it is 10 times more difficult to have a conversation with somebody who's 29, like me, about consent, about rape, about just romance even. And I think the big part that we're not pushing is having these conversations when boys are in high school, having these conversations when boys are in primary school. I mostly had these conversations when I was in varsity. I had to do a gender studies course to learn half of the things that I know. You shouldn't have to do a gender studies course at UCT to learn about consent. Yes, I'd heard about it before, but somebody's sitting down and saying, this is consent, this is what it means. Even one day when you get married, it doesn't just mean you get to have sex with your wife whenever you want to have sex with your wife. And you would assume that all the boys would know, obviously, we can't do A, B, and C, but not necessarily. And also there's this herd mentality when the boys get together, which makes it 10 times worse. So I do not enjoy preaching to the choir. I think the boys need to talk to the boys. The women have done enough talking to the boys. The boys need to start talking to the boys. And I feel like that's the only way that things will actually change.